there is a brand new exploit to homebrew your old 3DS or 2DS for free. This is on the 11.17, the latest firmware, and technically this works for all models of 2DS or 3DS in the family of consoles. But specifically for the old ones, this is a free method. We no longer need a cartridge like Mario Kart 7 or an R4 card or anything along those lines. All you need is an SD card. Getting homebrew software on your 3DS will allow you to play any game you want, add amazing custom themes, play mods, and so much more. So let's get right into it. Now for this guide, you do need a 3DS, obviously, but I did mention that it works on the old 3DSs like this one, or also on the new models as well. I have a 2DS right here, but there is a more straightforward guide on the new models if you want to click that down below as well. But on top of a 3DS, you will also need a SD card. Now I have a 32GB SD card here. If your 3DS needs a micro SD card, you obviously will use that instead. Also, make sure this small tab is pushed up, just like so. So if it looks like that, that is wrong. This will cause issues, so make sure the tab is pushed up. Now, if you don't have a SD card, I do have some linked down below, but you can also use the small SD cards that it comes with. So you can use a 2GB or 4GB SD card, but I do suggest upgrading to something larger to hold games after you mod it. So on top of these, you do also need a computer to download and transfer files to your SD card. I'm going to be using my Windows computer, but you can also use Mac or Linux. There will just be a couple different steps. And I also have this SD card reader by Ugreen that will allow me to plug it into my PC. So if your PC does not have a built-in reader, you can also get one of these as well. Alright, and to get started, I have a link down below for this Google Doc page where you have everything you need, including a disclaimer. Basically, you always have a chance to brick your device, so make sure you follow all the steps correctly the first time. If you have to watch the video through once to understand it before doing it yourself, then that's something you should do. Because it's a video guide, make sure to read the description and go through the comments to make sure this method is still up to date. And of course, Nintendo, there will be no mention or instructions on obtaining software illegally in this video. Please leave me alone. Now, before getting started, we need to make sure that our 3DS does not have any custom firmware already installed. Now, this could be the case if you buy it off eBay. I've had that happen before where I get surprised and it already has Luma on it. So to do this, just hold select and power on. Keep holding select. Hopefully we will see the home menu just like that. That means your device is not modded at all. If yours did not load into your home menu and loaded a custom menu like God Mode 9 instead, your device is already modded and you have a little bit different steps to take. So click on the already has CFW link I have on the dock and go from there. So after you've checked if your device is already modded, and it is not, we are ready to go forward with the guide. So if you are using the existing SD card inside of your 3DS, or if you're upgrading to a new one, take your existing one out and plug it into your PC. This is my 2GB card that I already had inserted, and this is what I have on mine. You may have DCIM if you have pictures, or if you go in here you have a private folder. If you don't want to lose anything on this SD card that you had on your 3DS, just highlight everything inside of your folder and drag it onto your desktop or somewhere safe, and we can use it later to get it back on our SD card. So now I'm going to exit here. I am upgrading to my 32GB SD card, so I'm going to plug that in quick. And here it is. The first thing to note is the drive letter. This may not be the same on your screen, but as you can see, mine is USB drive F, so that is important to know. The next thing that we need to make sure is that it's formatted as FAT32. In order to do that, just right click when you're in your SD card, go to properties. As you can see, my file system is FAT32, but if yours is not and it's 32GB or under, we can format it using Windows. So just right click on the drive, go to format, and then you can format it to FAT32. Remember, whenever you format a storage device, it will wipe everything, so you will lose anything you have on there. That is why we backed up our Nintendo 3DS folder. If your SD card is 64GB or larger, go back to the dock and you'll have to go through FAT32 format. Click on the link, click on the icon, and it'll download a program that will allow you to format your large SD card to FAT32. Since mine is already FAT32, I'll just put in some footage here on how to do that. Remember, always make sure you know which drive letter your storage device is. Okay, perfect. Once you have your SD card formatted, we can put our Nintendo 3DS folder back on, and we are ready to move forward with the guide. So head back to the dock, and for this guide we will be using the official written guide, which is the safest method to homebrew any device. So go ahead and click on the link and it'll take us to the official 3ds.hacks.guide, and this is where we'll grab all of our files needed. If you do run into any issues, the quickest way to get help will be joining the Nintendo Homebrew Discord server, which is right here, and they do take donations if you want to donate to their guide. But anyways, let's get on with it. So scroll down to what you need, and we are going to be grabbing the latest release of MSET9. That is the exploit what we're going to be doing, so click on it and scroll down and grab the release zip file. It'll download, we can exit that, and now we need to have Python installed on our computer. So I do not have it installed, but if you are on Linux or Mac, you can check by opening the terminal window and entering Python 3-V, and if it returns a version number, it will work for this guide. But if you do not have Python, click on the Python link here. It'll take you to this page, and we can download Python from here. And it downloaded, just click on the exe file, and we can install it. Okay, setup was successful. We'll close that. We can exit this website, and now it's time for our prep work. So now you can eject your SD card and insert it into your 3DS. Remember, before inserting it, make sure this small tab is pushed up. Power on your device. We're going to open up MeMaker. And if your console goes to this page, it means you already have it set up properly. But if not, you will be prompted with this screen, which indicates the necessary data has been created. But once you're here, we can hit the home button, exit out of MeMaker. We can power off our console, take out your SD card and place it back into your computer. Open up your SD card and it's time to set up our downloads. So also open up your downloads. I have my downloads on the left, SD card on the right. Open up the release zip file. You will need an extraction software. I use WinRAR. 7-zip also works great. And we're just going to grab all of these folders and drag it onto the root of your SD card. If it prompts you to replace any files, just hit replace. We can exit the zip file, we can delete both of these files if you do not want them to take up space. And now, while still in your SD card, we are going to run the MSET script. So if you are on Windows like me, we are going to hit the MSET9. It is a Windows batch file here to confirm. If you are on Mac, you're going to double click the MSET9.command. You may need to enter your password, and if you're on Linux, open up a terminal window, cd to the root of your SD card, and then type Python 3 space mset9.py and press enter. But if you're on Windows like me, let's run the Windows batch file here. So double click and this command window should pop up. As you can see, we have 4 different options. Your 3DS or 2DS should be updated to 11.17 at this point. So we are going to be clicking 1 or 2. If you are unsure on what model you have, if you have the C-Stick nub, it is a new model. And if not, you have an old model. This also includes the Nintendo 2DS, the original one as well. So once you know your model, pick the corresponding number. So 1 for your old models and 2 for the new ones. I'm using an old one, so I'm clicking 1. So just type 1 and hit enter. Just double check at the top that you have the right model selected, old 3DS 11.8 to 11.17. It never hurts to double check your steps. Now we are going to type 1 and perform a sanity check, so press enter. And if you get all green check marks, your SD card is good to go, but I have a couple X's here as it says title DB does not exist on SD card. So if you got that message as well, let's fix it. So I'm going to hit enter to exit, eject our SD card, and head back onto the 3DS. Insert your SD card, power on, go into system settings, data management, Nintendo 3DS, software, and just hit reset. Reset complete, press OK. We can turn off our 3DS, take your SD card out, and let's head back onto the computer and run the script again. Open up your SD card again on your computer, run the same command, type in the same letter as before. For my case, it's 1 for old 3DS 11.17. Press enter. Perform a sanity check again by pressing 1 and enter again. and boom, now we have all checks and everything appears to be functional. Press enter to exit, and now the exploit is ready to be injected. Now it's time to eject our SD card again and reinsert it into our console. Now for this part of the guide, this is very important that you follow everything exactly as I do. So if you are more comfortable following the written guide, at this point we are on section 2-MSET9. But if you do need the visual assistance, just follow my guide carefully and make sure you do as I. So first step, we are going to hover over system settings, just like I am now, but you can use the D-pad, just go over it like so. So while you are hovering over system settings, we're going to power off our console. Wait for the light to turn off. We will turn it back on. Press A to run system settings. Go to data management, Nintendo 3DS, extra data, and you should see Me Maker right here. Do not press any buttons on this screen. Pick up your 3DS and take the SD card out while it's still on. So open it up, take your SD card out, and you should see this. So once your screen looks like this, says no SD card found, it's because it's in our hand. Leave your console on, insert it back into your computer. Open up your SD card again on your computer and run the same file we did earlier. So if you're on Windows, the batch file, Mac, the command file, etc. So I'm going to double click MSET9. We have our command window open. Type the same number as before for your model and firmware. Mine is 1. Press enter. And now we are going to press 2 and inject the MSET9 payload. So press enter. And it ran through everything. All checks, we're good to go. Press enter to exit the command window, eject your SD card, and without touching any buttons, reinsert your SD card into your 3DS. And it should run the exploit just like so. And if you do run into any issues, there is a troubleshooting link in the doc, so click on that and try to find your issue there. But now we are loaded into Safe B9S installer, and we're going to install Boot 9 Strap. So on the top screen we are given a key combo. Yours may be different, but just input that. So mine is left, down, right, up, A. Once you have the success screen, just press A to continue, and your console should reboot into this screen, which is the Luma 3DS configuration menu. Now for this guide, we're going to leave everything as default, but you may come back to this screen in the future if you decide to add more Homebrew software. So we're just going to hit start, and it'll save and exit, and it'll reboot into Luma 3DS. And there we go, we are now running custom firmware on our 3DS. But wait, don't go anywhere, because there is a very important step next, because we need to remove the MSET9 exploit. So we're going to power off our console. Take your SD card out and place it back into your computer. And once you have your SD card open, we are going to run that same MSET9 script. So click on it to get the command window, hit the same number, mine is number 1, press enter. And you guessed it, we're gonna hit number 3 to remove MSET9. So click enter, and you should see successfully removed MSET9. Now it won't cause any issues in the future for your device. And don't worry, this only removes the inject that allowed us to do the exploit. It will not take away Homebrew from your 3DS. We can press enter to exit, open up the guide again, and if you weren't following along, scroll all the way to the bottom where it says Finalizing Setup. Click on it, and here we're going to grab the essential files and apps that you're going to need in the future of your modding endeavor. So scroll all the way down where you see finalizing.zip. We're going to click on it. It'll download in the top right if you're on Windows 11 like me. I kind of miss Windows 10, not gonna lie. Now open up your SD card and open up your downloads. Click on the finalizing zip file, and you should see WinRAR. I should just get 7-zip. You should see these 3 folders: Finalize, GM9, and Luma. We're going to highlight all 3 and drag it onto the root of your SD card. If it prompts you to replace any files, just hit replace. And once you have those on your SD card, we can eject it and reinsert it into our 3DS. And we're going to do the same CFW check as before, just to confirm that we did everything properly. So hold select power on, keep holding select, and hopefully you will be in the Luma 3DS configuration page like so. That means we did everything properly. So just hit start, it'll save and exit and reboot your console into Luma 3DS. Now at this point, your 3DS should already be at 11.17 as we did that at the start of the guide, but if you did this on an older firmware, you are now able to update to the latest firmware version 11.17. So you can go ahead and do that. And now the next steps will be very important to set up your 3DS fully, including a NAND backup to keep it safe. So now we're going to open up the Rosalina menu. So in order to do that, click the left shoulder down on D-pad and select, and you should see this page right here. This is the Rosalina menu. But once you're here, go down to miscellaneous options, click A, go down all the way to the bottom where it says dump DSP firmware, click A, press B to continue, and now we're going to go up one to nullify user time offset, click A, and click B once, twice, 3 times to exit the Rosalina menu. And next we're going to run a script that will completely finalize your 3DS along with backing up our NAND, and it'll also clean up our SD card and erase files we don't need, which is very helpful if you have a 2 GB SD card. So to do this, we're going to power off our console, and when you reboot it, hold start and power it on, and you should see this God Mode 9 menu right here. If you are prompted to create an essential files backup, just press A to do so and then A to continue, and if it prompts you to fix the date and time, go ahead and do so and press A to continue until you see this page right here. Press the home button, this is the action menu, go down to scripts, press A, and click A on finalize. It'll give you a prompt that explains what it's doing, but we can just press yes again, A, and now we need to input a key combo. Again, yours may be different than mine, but go ahead and input it. Press A, and it will begin the script. This is going to install all your Homebrew apps along with backing up your NAND, and we will deal with those files in a little bit. This can sometimes take up to 15 minutes, so just stay patient and I'll meet you back when it's done. You should see setup complete, and you can press A to continue. And it will power off. And since that script backed up our NAND, we need to take our SD card out one last time. I know it's a lot, but last time, plug it into your PC and we will transfer it over to a safe place. So now on your SD card, go into GM9, backups, and these are your NAND backup files. These are very important in case anything happens to your device, in case you brick it. These can help you save it and put it into a working condition again. So we're just going to go back one. We're going to copy this backups folder, and I'm going to place it on my desktop, but you can place it on your Google Drive, you can place it on a USB drive, you can anywhere that is safe where you can access it in the future if you need to. Old blue 3DS backup. That's just because I have like 4 2DS and 3DSs. That's a lot of backups to keep track of. So I'm going to go inside of there and place it inside. So it's nice and safe in there in case I brick my device. It's also a good reminder to frequently back up your NAND, because as you add things to your console, your NAND will change, so you can update your NAND backup. And to save space on your SD card, I'm just gonna go to my SD card here, go into backups, you can highlight everything and delete it, because it is almost a gigabyte, and you know, you can get a couple games for that size. But once you have that backed up, we can exit, and you can put your SD card back into your 3DS for the last time of this guide. And once you power it on, you will see new software has been added to the home menu. So press OK and let's check them out. The first one is Anemone. This will allow you to add custom themes, which there are so many. I have a video on that specifically if you are interested, but you can add custom themes to your 3DS. And on that note, I do have a full 3DS Homebrew playlist where it has a bunch of different video guides on how to set up and add different Homebrew software to your 3DS. So that is linked in the guide or down below in the description if you're interested. Next up, we have Checkpoint, which is a save game manager. This one is extremely important. FBI allows you to install CIA files, which can be anything from Homebrew apps to retro games to full 3DS games. We have FTPD, which allows you to access your 3DS SD card wirelessly. the very important Homebrew launcher, where it holds all of your 3DS Homebrew apps. And lastly, we have Universal Updater, which allows you to download Homebrew apps directly on your 3DS, along with updating different apps and software. Let's go into the Homebrew launcher, and this is how it looks. Right now, we only have Checkpoint as a 3DS app, as the other ones are on the home screen. And remember, if you're interested in future modding tutorials, make sure you hit that subscribe, and please like the video if you found this video helpful. I hope you have lots of fun on your newly modded 3DS, and I will see you on the next one. Stay funky and happy modding.